Well, welcome back to another episode of the Burn It Down podcast. I'm your host again, Rob Sherwood. Once again, here with my co-hosts Ross the Boss Tatum and Josh Altus. How are you guys?
We're good, brother. Had some fun racing at Darlington this weekend. Had all three series back in action, so ready to break it down.
Doing good myself. I'm a little under the weather. My voice sounds funny. I hope Mike Joy will call this one the gutsiest performances in podcast history following this.
Shout out Mike Joy. Honestly, one of my more favorite weekends of the year, arguably my favorite weekend of the year. I just love Darlington. Between the NASCAR history as well as the worn out racetrack and the tight spaces, it's a blast to watch. So we're going to dive into that, and we're going to kick it off starting about talking about the Truck Series, who was back in action for the first time in a few weeks. Corey Heim doing Corey Heim things. Once again,
someone give this man a full-time ride.
It's truly.
Oh my goodness.
So I get a little stat for him. I'll tell you in a second. So Corey Heim in a Tricon truck again this year was really competing with. I know Ross is up there at the end, but the only other person I saw up towards the front that really had a dominant truck was Caden Honeycutt in his old truck in the 11. Led 59 laps and really was out in front quite a bit. But a race that saw 14 lead changes among 8 drivers. And I in researching, I found out this was actually Corey's second career win at Darlington and the trucks, which I don't know. I guess he just won so much last year that maybe it just felt like it should be more. So what did y'all see?
Just Corey Heim being Corey Heim. I think you said it the best, man. I mean, P9 to P1 and on the last restart, it was absolutely incredible. I went to Washington to go watch the Capitals game, so I was playing a little catch up on my way home on Friday night watching the race. And when I had heard that he restarted P9 and won the race, I'm going, how in the world? Like, did the leaders get together? Like, what happened? And I mean, he took it 3 wide, I think 2 separate times, and then just absolutely sent it into 3 and 4. And I can't believe Ross gave him the bottom, to be honest. But just a fantastic drive by him. It was a lot of excitement at the end. You know, at one point it looked like Hocevar was going to get it, and then Ross was in position to get it, and then that late caution, and just goes to show how much tires mean at Darlington. I mean, I know the joke used to be if you push the car around on pit road, you know, the drivers would take another set of tires if you let them, just because of all the wear and tear and the sand and everything else. So I think you previewed it the best, man. Darlington is just a special place. It's historic. It's old school racing, and you know you've got to be really good to win at Darlington. You don't just luck into wins there.
Yeah, this was easily my favorite race of the weekend. The comers and goers in this race were insane. Guys would get out to a 5-second lead, and here'd come Caden Honeycutt or Christian Eckes and drive right past them with 10 laps to go in the stage. So the tire fall off was just insane this race. Man, it was just all around good race, start to finish. You had cautions at various times that kind of broke everything up. It was interesting. Cup guys weren't that strong. Hocevar, you know, got up there at the end. Ross, you know, did too. But man, just wild ending.
Yeah, watching the race live, you know, Ross and I were talking in the Discord, and when Corey sent it into turn 3 on the last lap, it was, I honestly I laughed. I don't know what else you can do because it was insane. I don't know if the spotter did not communicate that he had fresher tires, or if Ross just decided that he didn't have enough time to get there on the bottom, but that was insane. So I don't know why it surprises me. Corey Heim is just too good to not have a full-time ride. So the fact that he doesn't have one right now is insane. I'm sure we'll talk about that more later. But yeah, Hocevar had a weird night because I felt like watching his truck come through the field, he had a very good truck. He just never was truly up front. You know, it seemed like every time he got up front that something happened. I think he ended up leading 16 laps there towards the end just because of the late restart. I think there was some issues at the front, and it allowed Hocevar to kind of capitalize and take the lead until he had, I believe it was a tire issue that caused him to get into the fence and spin out, that ultimately set Corey Heim up for that late race magic. So yeah, really, I'm with Ross. I think it was probably my favorite race of the weekend personally.
I think honestly, going back to Ross there, he looked absolutely just shocked when they interviewed him, and I think he didn't even know that he was coming at all, which is crazy to me, because if you're the spotter, shouldn't you be informing your driver that he's got new tires and he's ripping through the field and maybe get ready to play some defense or something? Like, it seems like Ross had no idea that Heim was ripping through the field like that. I mean, he just looked shocked. He couldn't believe that it got stolen from him.
I'm not sure that Ross could have done anything to stop him. I mean, even if Ross went to the bottom right there, I think Heim would have just drove around the outside of him. But, I mean, I don't know what else he could have done there without causing a huge wreck. Maybe it was a good thing that he didn't know. But, yeah, I don't know. I can't believe 5-lap tires, difference in tires, made that much of a difference for him to just fly through the field. Yeah,
they weren't even
at
stickers.
That.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Aside a little bit, well, it involves the racing on the track, but just wanted to get your thoughts on one of my favorite tweets of the weekend. Got squeezed by the upside down face kid driving the 18 on the second lap coming out of turn 4. Yeah, thoughts.
That's wild, first and foremost. And he included a nice little picture of it too, which I don't even know what show that's from, but yeah, I mean, I didn't really see what happened. But yeah, that's a wild tweet to put out.
Guys have to be so careful tiptoeing about what they say on tweets like that. So that was a smart tweet. Like he went there without going there. So that was good.
I want to say the show was Hey Arnold, but I feel like that's wrong. I can't remember.
Come on, guys. That was Family Guy. What are we doing?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I have no
idea. Sure that's Family Guy.
Sorry, I'm not cultured enough.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's our bad. So fun little stat before we move on to the ORAP series on Saturday, and Ross particularly is going to love this stat. Corey Heim in 2 starts has more points than 14 full-time trucks.
I believe I saw that he's 8th in points, right?
He currently sits 8th in points at 114. And this is the part that Ross is going to love. He has more points than all of the trophy hunting Colleague Ram trucks.
Do we know if they changed that rule, or is it just Cup where you have to attempt to qualify for every race to be playoff eligible? Because honestly, let's say he runs half a season, but he's good enough that he can point his way in possibly in the top 12. I mean, do we know if that's possible, or does he have to attempt every race?
Ross might be the better one to ask on that one, because I would assume that he has to attempt to qualify.
I kind of hate that rule too, because I just don't. I mean, if you got enough points, you got enough points. I mean, if
he hasn't declared points for any other series, I don't see what's wrong with it.
Yeah, and he must declare for trucks because he's getting points. So they must have thought maybe he could get full-time sponsorship at some point this season.
Wouldn't that be wild to keep up with though? Like let's say he runs a half schedule or like 60% or something like that, and was still able to make the chase. I mean, that would just be like an all-time feat.
I would love to see it, honestly. I would. I just hate it for Tony Breidinger. I mean, that could have been her on Friday, but no, Corey stole it from her.
So I'm curious. I'll have to dig deeper into the rule book, but the NASCAR, there's an article posted after the chase format was reannounced, and all it says under the how do drivers qualify for the chase section is that the top 16 drivers, this is for Cup, but the top 12 drivers for ORAPs and top 10 for Craftsman Truck Series are in the playoffs. It does not say anything about start requirements or anything of that nature. And honestly, I need to look and see how many more starts he's definitely slated to be in. But I find a hard time believing if he doesn't have commitments the rest of the year on Cup weekends where it would require him to kind of be focused there, that 2311 and Toyota wouldn't be trying to make sure that he has a truck to get in and make another push at this thing. I mean, you might as well if you're not going to have him in the car on Sunday.
Going back to my statement last week, Rick Hendrick, if you're listening to the Burn It Down podcast on your drive in on Monday mornings, figure out how to grab that man from Toyota. I'd be lined up at the door trying to get him in the 48 car.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, transitioning away from Heim time, let's go talk about the Saturday race, the O-Raps race, a race that felt like a patented Justin Allgaier win, one where he really did not seem like he was anywhere near the car to beat, but was just kind of hanging around. Ended up, I believe, leading 37 laps total. But your winner at Darlington, his fourth career win and 21 tries at Darlington, his most winningest track, which I believe that makes perfect sense. That kind of suits his driving style. But honestly, a very bland race. You know, only 6 lead changes among 4 drivers, and Kyle Larson really was out in front the majority of the day, winning both stages. And I know that we kind of talked in the chat, and it was like, this is a snooze fest. He was just kind of running away with it until they had some pit road issues late in the race. What did y'all think about the race on Saturday?
As a Larson fan, I loved it. Always love watching Larson run up front. But as a racing enthusiast or analyst, yeah, I think it was a snoozer. I mean, the only action, just like you said, is when the 88 crew fumbled on pit road. All you had to do was make a normal stop, and you probably win that race. So obviously, it's hard to be critical of the pit crew. You know, when they don't make mistakes, there's rarely anything said of them. They just kind of do their job. But when you fumble, then obviously the spotlight's on them. So, you know, that's a bummer for them for sure. JRM continues their dominance in O-Raps with Justin Allgaier. I don't see anyone that's touching JRM right now. I mean, they're just so much faster than the field right now. One notable, Austin Hill had an incident, finished, I believe it was 35th, which is really going to hurt him in points, especially with Allgaier winning. We'll take a look at the points here in just a second. But, yeah, I mean, just you got to hang in there, right? Even if you're not the best car, you continue to put yourself in positions. And I think Allgaier even alluded to in his post-race interview that he's been working really hard on restarts, and especially at Darlington. He got up on the wheel and got it done. So, I mean, good for him in the 17. But, yeah, that's a bummer for the pit crew to fumble that for Larson.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Cup guys, I just don't know if anybody's going to be able to touch Justin Allgaier this year. I mean, he might end up with 10, 11 wins at this point. He doesn't have a Zilich to compete with him this year. Corey Day's continuing to make strides. I called that. Thank you very much. And, you know, I had money on Brandon Jones, and I was rooting for him there at the end. And, you know, he just became a big puss bag and didn't do anything there. But don't laugh, Rob.
NASCAR fan unfiltered.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the race goes, man, get the Cup guys out of these races. I don't want to see Kyle Larson have the best car and lead all the laps. Go ahead, Josh. I see you.
You have to bring up the tweet that you sent since we're on that topic.
Oh shoot, which one? Oh,
the
Stephen Malazzi.
Yeah, please.
All right, y'all go through it, and y'all talk. I'll find it.
Okay. Well, actually, funny enough, Josh kind of alluded to the point standings. Yeah, so Justin Allgaier now has jumped out to a 52-point lead in the standings over Jesse Love, and as you mentioned, Austin Hill took a hit in the standings. He is now sitting 96 points behind Justin Allgaier, which, you know, it feels like there's a long time to go, but obviously we know that in the JRM cars, that's going to be hard to overcome. Even if Austin, as good of a driver as he is, that's hard to overcome that gap.
True.
I'm still scrolling real quick. We've got to talk about this. We've got to.
Okay. So Seriously Fast Motorsports, they're a verified account. I guess they're real. I don't know. They asked the question: any NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts or NASCAR truck drivers willing to be honest right now? How do you honestly feel about Cup drivers racing in your series? Well, the great Stephen Malazzi, yes, the Outback guy who drives for the incredible Rume Motorsports racing team in the truck series. It's made 14 starts.
14. Okay. I was about to ask how many starts has he made?
14 starts. Usually his truck blows up or he's on fire about 15 laps into the race. I think he's only completed. Yeah, 14 starts. I think he's completed 500 laps in his career. Oof. Stephen Malazzi said, I'm fine with it, but I don't love it. Pros: increases the competition level and does help development. Okay, Stephen. Cons: inflates ride costs in both series. Teams will throw in Cup guys who can pull sponsorship instead of lowering prices. 2, like the Levin said, they drive like they have nothing to lose in the series. You know who doesn't know how they drive in the series? Stephen Malazzi, because he's always getting fucking lapped. What are we talking about here?
In his defense, they did say any ORAPs or Truck Series driver, and he's technically a driver. However, I'm with you. Sometimes it's better to just stay quiet. And I don't know. I did y'all see he shot that little? I don't know if you call it a commercial, but like the Ram race for the seat or whatever, and he put out a video as to why he should be a Ram contender or something. I mean, it was a good video. He's funny, but yeah, I haven't been impressed by his 500 laps of racing in his career.
Hey, I mean, who would have done better, him or Minnie Tyrell? I'm not sure at this point.
I don't know.
But anyway,
AJ finished 11th. That's all I'm gonna say in the Ram truck. So
yeah, AJ did good. Corey was actually top 10 when he wrecked, so he was doing okay too. Corey LaJoy. As far as the Cup guy, I don't feel like the Cup guys drive any differently than anyone else. I'll be honest. I feel like Ross and some of those guys race pretty respectfully. I understand why. I think who was mad about it? Honeycutt,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he got fenced a little bit, and I know we're talking about ORAPs right now, but I just didn't see that Larson or anybody in the ORAP series drove too aggressively or did anything too crazy. Ross was a little crazy on that first couple of laps when he got all swervy up there on the straightaway, but other than that, I mean, I felt like they raced pretty respectfully. My whole point is that they're too damn good and they don't need to be racing those guys.
It's the age-old question, man. I mean, they did increase their, I guess, limits or availability this year, where they were pretty strict. I think we used to call it the Kyle Busch rule, when he would come down and just absolutely wax the field there in the lower series. So I don't mind it. I think it's good for those guys to see. I mean, if they're striving to try to get to the Cup level, I think it is good for them to see what that type of competition is like, and it's just going to make them better. I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion on it either way, but I'm fine with the Cup guys coming in. It's going to sell more seats. I know this specific weekend it was, kind of a situation. Maybe if you remove Larson and Bell and Ross, maybe it's a little bit more of a competitive race among the regulars. So I see it from that argument, but I don't know if it's not them. Maybe it's Justin Allgaier that dominates. So,
So I didn't think I had a very strong opinion on it, but I think I actually do. I think that I am very much, I don't think that I know I'm very much in favor of Cup drivers being able to run in the lower series. And I think some of this may have to do with what Brad mentioned when he was hosting the Dale Jr. Download, with the current climate and how the series is laid out, in terms of what the truck series used to be versus what it is now. And same for Xfinity. I would argue that you need guys like Kyle Larson coming down to these races to I mean, as harsh as it sounds, to help these series survive because they need the exposure. I mean, I know for us personally, we go to Charlotte every May for the 600 weekend, and every time when we look at the entry list, the first thing I do that weekend is I go look at the entry list to see if there's anyone running in trucks or Xfinity that's a Cup guy, because I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's see, even whether it's an up and comer that is somebody that I've heard about through the grapevine, or whether it's a seasoned vet like Kyle Larson. Last year we saw William Byron run it that weekend. So I think it's kind of just the climate of NASCAR. And I mean, this is no disrespect to Mr. Malazi. I honestly, I have no idea who he is. That's the NASCAR casual, I guess, in me. But I personally really think that it's good to have some of these guys go down. Maybe, as Josh mentioned, you kind of maybe take another look at the Kyle Busch rule. But I really think, given what NASCAR is today, of course they're going to throw a Cup guy in there to sell sponsorship, because that's how they don't lose money. That's how we keep getting these teams coming to the racetrack every weekend. And I know it sucks for guys that are desperate for these opportunities, but unfortunately this is the way the sport is right now. And I don't really know how that changes.
I do have one more comment on this topic. I think there might be kind of the best of both worlds scenario. Because if you guys remember specifically, like when Jordan Anderson was starting to get his team built up, he pulled like Tyler Reddick, some other Cup guys. I think Ross ran maybe a race or two with them. I'm fine with Cup guys being in there. I will say I think it's more fun when they will jump in a car with like a lower team or something like that to try to help build that program some, versus just, Kyle Larson getting in a JRM car. So I can kind of see that side of it. I love the idea of Cup guys coming in and helping some of these smaller teams and trying to help build the program, because now look where Jordan Anderson Racing is. I mean, obviously they're not, a giant by any means, but they're a good, strong mid-pack team, and that's what you need in these series to help them survive. So that would be my vote is, yes, bring these Cup guys in, but like let's put them in some teams that are struggling a little bit, or help them with their program to kind of help elevate the entire series.
Josh, you stole the words right out of my mouth. That was exactly what I was going to say. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And I was just also going to say that maybe one of the years I remember most in the Xfinity series, back when it was the Xfinity series or Nationwide series, was when KBM decided to run full time. Kyle got in his own car and didn't win a race all season.
Yep.
So, I mean, that was – and it was like, I remember at the end of the season, Gibbs was like, hey, you need to get back in our cars because we can't have you not winning every week. So, yeah, I like it when they do the smaller teams and ride. Like, I really enjoy it when Ross drives that 32 car, like when he almost won at Atlanta. I mean, that was cool to me because, it's just a Jordan Anderson car and driver means something.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because it made me think of Tyler Reddick when he won the first race for Big Machine Racing in the 48 a few years ago at Texas, so I think that's actually a really good point. And yeah, that'd be interesting to see that develop, because honestly, I think it's not as big of a deal now because it's not the win and you're in format or win advance in the playoffs or whatever. I could see why people are upset in that part, because it kind of feels like it it takes some of the I want to say organic, but I'm trying to think it doesn't really fit in this sentence. But
it takes an opportunity away from a team
exactly.
to maybe make their mark to get in the
right.
playoff.
Like maybe it makes in a format where all the points matter. Maybe it makes a difference if you have Kyle Larson racing in one race here versus a couple years ago. So yeah, that's actually that's a really good point. That would be cool to see that happen. To see some of those smaller alliances really grab those big names, because I mean, even Raja on the 32 this weekend, this was by far his worst weekend of the season. Maybe if we saw Ross in that car, it'd been interesting to see what had happened, or even if Raja could have even been competitive in the 88 car, because obviously JRM and Jordan Anderson Racing have him splitting for the season. So yeah, that's go ahead.
Yeah, he was still the top Jordan Anderson car. So, I mean, it's not like he was terrible. He just evidently they just missed it this weekend, and some
Mhm.
of the other cars really hit on it.
The only counter argument I can see to this is, to Steven's point, is if you have some of these bigger names coming in, taking up, opportunities for other people, I can see that. But it's, in my opinion, it's almost like, let's take one step back to then elevate the program like 3 steps forward.
Yeah.
So you get these cup guys in there, make the programs better, and then open it up to these opportunities for people to come in and learn and get their programs better. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Well, kind of transitioning away from that argument and kind of transitioning towards the cream of the crop, the guys that apparently should not be racing on Saturday, according to some people, the Cup guys. A race where Tyler Reddick felt like he was going to run away with it. Then I had a very eventful day, and then in the most expected result possible, ended up winning. A race that saw 16 lead changes among 8 drivers, a very eventful race on pit road for 2311. I looked on the penalty infraction report, and out of the 14 penalties that were given, 6 of them were to 2311 alone between the 3 teams. So wild day for them, but ultimately a race where Tyler Reddick did something that apparently he's never done before, which I didn't realize, but this was actually Tyler's first win at Darlington in 14 career tries. What were y'all's thoughts on the race today?
I mean, hats off to Tyler Reddick. I mean, what else do you say? I will go back a little bit on what I said before we came on air, where I said I thought it was a little bit of a boring race. I don't think it was a boring race. I think maybe I was just a little bored with the end result just because it's Tyler Reddick's 4th win of the year. But the actual race itself, I thought was actually pretty good now that I think about it. The tire degradation was insane to watch how much it dropped off. We had been prepped before this weekend that there could be some serious tire degradation, and I think it lived up to it. I don't think we saw like the complete like out of control stuff that drivers were talking about. I mean, I think there was only 2 organic cautions besides the stage cautions, so nothing too crazy there. I was actually a little surprised that we didn't see like any tire failures or anything, to be honest with you. But man, Brad Keselowski, what a awesome weekend for him, along with RFK in general. Got to flutz a little bit. Another W to my tab here in our picks.
All right, this guy.
I know my racing, so maybe you guys will get it next week. But yeah, just a good race overall, and all the all the stuff that Reddick had to go through. I mean, the battery failing and having to swap batteries, and then him not being able to run his cool suit, and you saw him, trying to leak the hot water out of the suit so it wouldn't boil him. And I think he was pretty miserable, like pretty early on in the race. So to be able to keep his composure, stay mentally strong, race the racetrack, pass all those cars, I mean, he earned it.
Yeah, I thought it was also not the most like barn burning race in the world, but I thought it was pretty good. Guys could make passes, which was nice. The last few years with the next gen, it's been really hard for guys to make passes at Darlington, mid pack, front of the pack, anywhere. I mean, just last year, I think Byron led every lap until he got marred behind in traffic in the spring race, and it looked like he was going to lead every lap of the race. So the fact that guys could come up and actually pass for lead, I feel like there were actually like 4 or 5 passes for the lead up front, so that was cool. Just really weird day with let me say this. RFK is the hardest team ever to make a bet on because you never know what kind of speed they're going to show up with each and every week. And this week they hit on it. I think me and you were talking about Rob, but like at one point RFK was like 1st, 2nd, and 4th. Like it was insane. They had crazy speed. But yeah, overall, race was pretty enjoyable. Stage 1 felt like the longest stage I've ever watched in my whole life, but other than that, pretty good race.
Yeah, you both kind of talked about the RFK dominance today, and Ross and I were talking about it, and it's honestly disappointing the finishes that they got overall. I think Brad ended up being really the only one that finish anywhere near where he probably should have. Chris Buescher finished ninth. I personally thought I was cooking with that pick until Tyler Reddick forgot there were 2 lanes to a racetrack, and that he couldn't actually pass a guy on the outside trying to come to pit road, but that's the conversation for later. Ryan Preece finished 13th, and I really felt like he had a top 10 car or even close to a top 5 car the majority of the day. So I'm not really sure what happened with that, if it was pit strategy for him. Obviously, I think the 17 handled differently, combined with the time that they lost trying to save the car and then get back around to pit road. But yeah, they between the two of them, Brad Keselowski led 142 laps today. So the fact that he didn't win the race, I'm a little disheartened for him. But between the two of them, they led 183 laps across the race today for the RFK guys. So really excited for them. They all now are in the points to make the playoffs as it stands after the race today. I know that's early yet, and that will change, but you got to feel good if you're those guys. They really, I think they carried for Ford the majority of the day. Ultimately, somehow Austin Cindric ended up still outrunning Chris Buescher. So shout out to him. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit, but some really notable runs for guys today. But ultimately, like we said, a very expected outcome with Tyler Reddick. So the one thing I did want to touch on before we start talking more in depth about other parts, and we're still talking about RFK, loved the Biff tribute schemes. I know that was an important thing for them today. What did y'all think about this?
I loved it. I honestly, I think it'd be cool if they just raced them for the rest of the year. I mean, I don't think it would be overdone or anything. I found myself really, really pulling for Brad in that race. I don't know if partly if my pick influenced that or not, but I've grown to like Brad. I think all these guys that were kind of hotheads that are kind of on the tail end of their careers, maybe it's a little nostalgia, but you got to root for the guy. I mean, he broke his femur. He's out there leading the race, and it was a big deal for him to leave Penske and to start this program. Or not start it, but be involved in it now. And I mean, it wasn't too long ago. Let's not remember our RFK was running like 30th, and it was a massive change when obviously they got Chris Buescher, and they kind of got hot a couple of seasons ago where Buescher, cranked out 3 wins or so, and then seems like they kind of faded back a little bit, and now I think they're right there with Penske, or I should say right there with Blaney. Holy cow, Logano, what in the world were you doing today? But I love the tribute to the Biff. I think it only would have been better if one of them could have closed it out with a win, but I love the tribute.
Yeah, the tribute was really cool. And I really do hate it for Brad because, as you know, it was like a tier 2 team like RFK, you just never know what kind of roller coaster you're going to go on throughout the season, with cars being good, cars being bad, cars being capable of winning. So when you're right there and you have a chance to win, man, it's really tough when you lose them. And we had kind of talked about this before, but I kind of don't understand the strategy to pit so early for some of these guys. I think, I'm not saying Brad would have beat Tyler, but he was the only guy that could have beat Tyler today. And when he pits so early in all these cycles, it just really opens yourself up with tire wear like it was today to just get walloped at the end of these runs. And I just think that was a misstep by Jeremy Bullins. It worked out for him in stage 1, but the only reason it worked out for him in stage 1 is because Tyler had probably one of the worst pit stops you can have. So it was just I feel bad for Brad because I really, these chances to win races for him are few and far between at this point.
Yeah, and Josh even spoke on it. Not only does he have a broken femur, we got to remember he's 42 years old, and he's got a broken femur at 42, which is a different recovery than it would have been for Brad at 29. So I think I'm in agreement with that at the nostalgia factor, because it is wild to think that we're closing in on a time where we used to watch Kyle Busch in the 18 and Brad in the 2, and I very vividly, I'm not even a Jeff Gordon fan, but I think we all remember the Texas incident on pit road. And, it's it feels very far removed from that, which is sad as a NASCAR fan. So, like you said, Ross, with these, it's few and far between that he gets a chance to win these races. So, at this point, I want him to win as many as he can. And, I'd love to see RFK continue to grow. I really like the group that they have. I think Ryan Preece, I even kind of misjudged that. With his career at Stewart Haas, I just kept kind of wondering why he kept getting a chance. Nothing against him. Seems like a great human being, but it just seemed like I know that the Stewart Haas cars were terrible, but it seemed like he was towards the back with that group anyway. So I'm glad to see that RFK has really helped him kind of hit his stride. I think they have a good group over there. But ultimately, I just kind of want to talk about the points cap now. I don't know if you saw the points cap, but it is now up to 95 points.
Are you guys ready to hop on the Reddick regular season championship bandwagon with me yet?
I mean, shit, at this point, it's kind of hard not to be.
I mean, he's got so much speed right now. 3 poles, 4 wins. 3 poles, 4 wins. I mean, I don't know. But just like anything, the speed can go away, or JGR can kind of cut back some stuff. We don't know what might happen, But yeah, right now, 23:11. I mean, Riley Herbst qualified 14th and was running top 15 in stage 1. So they have speed right now.
Yeah, they definitely do, because I was actually looking at the point standings earlier. Riley Herbst is actually in front of Connor Zilic, Ricky Stenhouse, Todd Gilliland, and Noah Gragson at points all right now. Obviously, he's in front of some other guys, but those were some ones that stuck out to me. And honestly, he's been better this year, so it'll be interesting to see that develop as the year goes on. You'd like to think that if they keep coming up with quality cars, that he'll continue to improve. I will say, transitioning away from that, I just want to give a couple of shout outs today. There were some really impressive drives in the field today. Ross kind of talked about this earlier with me. Specifically, Carson Hocevar. I think he ended up 31 spots up from where he started in the race. Had to go to the rear for unapproved adjustments. Ended up driving to 4th at the end. Austin Cindric finished 5th. Another top 10 for Ty Gibbs, finishing 6th. Daniel Suarez in 7th. That's a huge run for him in the 7 car. And I kind of wanted to talk about this, and I wanted to save it for the pod. It feels weird to say that I'm ready to maybe sound the alarm on Hendrick, but I am a little concerned that we're 6 races in, and I understand that Tyler Reddick has won 4 of them, but they are the only big 3 company yet to win a race this year. JGR has one and Penske has one. 2311 has the other 4. And maybe this is a better conversation for Martinsville next week, because traditionally in the spring, Hendrick dominates that race, and we'll kind of see what happens next week. But the fact that 2 Spire cars, well, I mean, McDowell, I don't know what he was doing today, but Kyle Larson had to pit late with an issue, but Byron finished P8 and Chase finished P15, but 2 Spire cars in the top 10, including one in the top 5. It feels like they were very clearly the fastest Chevy team today.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I mean, we saw really strong qualifying efforts out of Larson and Chase specifically, and Chase normally qualifies 20th every week. So to see him qualify in the top 5, I was like, maybe they're going to be really good. Obviously, they looked pretty good last week at Las Vegas. So I don't know if they just missed it this week or what, but I guess that explains Larson maybe falling through the field. I mean, he ran top 5 a really long majority of the race, and then he just looked like he completely faded at the end of stage 3. And I don't know if it was from the issue or maybe he was struggling and hit the wall trying to make up for it and then bent the toe link or something like that. But definitely was a little weird not seeing any Hendrick car really in contention at the end. Byron had a very midday. Chase kind of disappeared, ended up 15th. But like you said, Rob, if there's one track that I want to go to if I'm Hendrick, it's Martinsville in the spring. So let's hold off on sounding the alarm till after Martinsville.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. Larson was he was top 5, but everyone else was missing in action. And then Larson did something that he could do last year, but he did not need to do this season, which was run into the wall in turn 1 and 2 and broke that toe link. You're not going to be able to have a lot of races like that this year if you want a chance to win the championship, because he's going to be, I think he's 10th right now, pretty far out of the points lead. Obviously, everyone is, but he's pretty far out of 3rd, I think. So, yeah, I mean, I think that nose is really causing issues for Hendrick right now. Hendrick is going to be good no matter what, but they're not Hendrick level right now. And, we had talked about this before, but, it sounds like Hendrick's the only one getting aero mapping from Chevrolet right now. So that's interesting. And it's definitely putting all the Chevy teams behind. And so, yeah, but congrats to Carson for finishing 4th, even though I hate him. But hey, good job, dude.
Mike Joy certainly was excited about that at the end. Holy cow.
He was, yeah. I think Ross was a little annoyed with Mike Joy today, but I also was getting a little annoyed that every time they talked about Hocevar, he made sure that he had to talk about Hurricane. So at this point, I can pretty much confirm that Mike Joy just loves trolling people because he knows it pisses him off.
Hey, shout out to Darryl Waltrip. He made me belly laugh about 2 times on the broadcast today with his wit, and I was thinking that's what Boyer wants to be, the way he acts. But DW can actually do it. I wish Michael could figure that out too. But he said 2 things that actually made me laugh. I don't even remember what they were, but it was funny.
Yeah, it was cool hearing him at the beginning of stage 1 there. I almost didn't realize it for a second because I was driving down the road on the way to hockey, and I heard his voice, and I felt like I was, it was back 10, 15 years ago. All of a sudden, I'm like, I'm hearing Daryl and Larry Mack and Mike Joy, and I'm like, holy cow, this is a throwback. And, yeah, I mean, Daryl's obviously a huge part of the sport. He's had a ton of success. So it was cool hearing him in the booth. I've missed hearing him.
Yeah, it was really cool to see that to be able to see and hear him in the booth. I think you brought up a good point. There's that nostalgia aspect, and I mean we've kind of touched on it with the Fox broadcast and just how disappointing it's been at times. So I think that's part of it. But yeah, getting to hear him and Larry Mack work together again was pretty cool. So, I think that about covers it for this weekend at Darlington. Do we want to move into our rants of the weekend if anyone has any?
One more thing real quick, if you don't mind. I just want to kind of tackle this real quick. Ross kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but some of the pit road problems have been very interesting this year, specifically with the 12 team. Our friend Zachary Pockeris, shout out Zachary, is a massive Ryan Blaney fan, and he actually made a good point, and he's like, when are we going to give Blaney the A team pit crew? I mean, he's clearly the face of Penske right now, as much as if you want to argue it. And I thought it made me laugh because they played his in-car, and he was just like, guys, we have to get this cleaned up. And I texted Zach, I said, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. It's what it sounded like. But I mean, this is what the 3rd loose wheel that they've had already at the season. Like, especially at a place like Darlington. I mean, you cannot give up free track position. He bailed him out at Phoenix and drove through the whole field multiple times. But I mean, I'd be frustrated if I was Blaney. I mean, he did a great job recovering, obviously, but what's going on? We got to clean this up.
Yeah, he almost bailed him out again. He was probably the fastest car on the track the last 50 laps.
Yeah, I mean, he finished stage 1 and P3 prior to the pit road issue, and then after that, he really just, I mean, he did spend the entire rest of the race driving back through the field. So I noticed that too. I thought that I'm sure it was pit cycle, but we also know that Blaney is stupid fast at Darlington on a long run. So it would have been interesting to see kind of how the race shaped out if he could have thrown his hat into the mix with Brad and Tyler and Busher before the incident with Reddick.
Yeah, I mean, and Josh is right. Why is he not getting the A team? Why is Logano continue to get the A team? It doesn't make any sense. Blaney's been the guy for 3 years now, besides that bogus championship last year or 2 years ago for Logano.
Yeah, I it beats me. I couldn't tell you. I don't know if it's sponsorship. I don't know. I don't know if it's a loyalty thing. But I mean, also, how do you not give the glorious stash and the flow the best pit crew? I mean, as a driver, I can't imagine there's anything more frustrating than your pit crew continuously costing you. You know, and he's too good to have his pit crew constantly screw him over.
Well, he's been propping Penske up for the last 2 years, so I feel like he should get more respect than he does from Penske.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Would you like to rant on that, Ross?
Now, I don't really have a ton of ranting to do today except about Fox's Friday coverage with the drivers only broadcast. And I guess my issue with it is the worst part of the broadcast is the guy that's on every Sunday broadcast. Kevin Harvick sucks. He's not a play-by-play guy. Sorry, I almost said playboy. He's not a playboy. But yeah, there was a couple of things. First of all, Ram is paying all this money to be in this series, be a big part of this series, and Fox can't even get Ram on the starting lineup thing. They have Chevys for all the Ram guys. And then we got to hear Harvick try to do play-by-play, and he's awful at it. But then when he lets Logano do it, Logano's like a champion. He's like one of the best play-by-play people there are. Even Blaney did a good job with it. And then you hear Cindric, and he's like a joy of life. And it's like, why isn't that guy in the booth? Why is Harvick still doing this? Let some of the drivers come up and do this. And I'm also disappointed that more drivers don't take part in this because it seems like every year now we have the same guys. It's always Stenhouse, Cindric, Logano, Blaney. I would like to see more guys step out of their comfort zone and do this. But that's basically my only rant this weekend. I could rant about some other stuff, but I can't. I was excited to have a Darlington race weekend where the racing just felt pretty pure. So, all in all, it was not a bad weekend.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And shout out to the Fox coverage this weekend, Friday, minus Kevin Harvick. I laughed my ass off when they showed Austin Cindric eating carrots on pit road, and you can clearly see that he offers somebody a carrot because they're looking at him, and I'm pretty sure just based off of his body language, they probably are like, "What are you eating?" And I mean, he laughed his ass off when the guy, I would assume, had a reaction of like, "No, I'm good." But I love that. That was so cool. I don't know why I enjoyed that so much. He's for all the flack he gets in the car, he actually is a fantastic personality for the sport.
I think you said this in an earlier episode, Rob, but Penske must require their drivers to do some sort of like media broadcast training or something, because I'm with you guys. All three of them are fantastic. And yeah, if it's a driver's only broadcast, Kevin Harvick, you are not a driver anymore. You're in the booth on Sundays. Step aside and let the drivers do it. I think you could have put Logano in there as the play-by-play. You put Blaney in there as the color commentary. Heck, I know he's not a driver anymore, but Kurt Busch used to be really good in the booth too. I'm with you, Ross. I'd like to see some guys, maybe like a William Byron or even like a Larson, or I don't know, just someone that we don't normally see in the booth. And like you said, maybe step out of their comfort zone a little bit and give it a go. But yeah, Cindric is fantastic as a pit reporter. I mean, he's funny, he's witty. He does a good job. So I enjoyed it as well, minus Kevin Harvick. So yeah, if we're going to continue to do this, let's make it truly a drivers only broadcast.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement of that. I think Joey Logano is perfectly capable. I think he's done enough broadcasts for Fox, and that's where I think I don't enjoy the corporate aspect of it, because I feel like Fox feels like corporate NASCAR, as to where I feel like the prime coverage is just professional coverage of NASCAR. So once again, I am begging to get through the Fox season to get to the other broadcast networks, even though that means the season goes by quicker.
We're almost probably halfway through Fox's stint at this point. How many races do they have?
Believe they've got through normally I
It
guess
should be race 12.
Yeah.
It's right before the 600.
So this is 6, right? This was race 6, so we're halfway.
Yeah, I mean, should be.
But they really should revamp it. I mean, it's pretty bad when your Cup guys are the worst broadcasters besides Jamie Little that we see each and every week. Like, even the Xfinity booth was remote this weekend, and they were still 10 times better than what we saw on Sunday today. I mean, it was just. I don't think Harvick brings anything to the broadcast, and like, if this was Harvick from like 2007, 2008, when he had a lot of attitude and he wasn't afraid to say stuff, I think it would be different. But now he's just, like you said, Rob, he's so corporate. It's just, he's not even interested to listen to anymore.
It's bland, and I love Boyer as a personality, but like who the hell picked Boyer to be in the booth? I mean, there's so many other people I feel like you could go with.
Yeah, I'm almost noticing a trend because I feel like we also complained about Gordon's dynamic with DW his second year in the booth. You know, I feel like it almost, as much as it sucks, I feel like it's hard to nail that. It's really hard to. It's almost like a rotation would be better than having a consistent set booth, just because it's easy to get so tired of the week to week with these guys. And actually, I did check, Josh, and we have 7 races left with the Fox booth. The final Fox race of the year will be All-Star Weekend in the middle of the afternoon on Sunday, May 17th.
At Dover.
At Dover, woo. Yes. So I think the next time we're back at Darlington will be the Southern 500. And I think everybody is excited for a throwback weekend, except for Chase Elliott.
Well, this was technically they're not doing throwback weekend anymore. This was technically, quote unquote, their throwback weekend.
Oh, good.
They just made it optional this year.
I, for one, am shocked that when the most popular driver comes out and says that throwback weekend is overdone, that they then make the weekend completely optional. Interesting how that happens. Great job, Chase. Great job. So anyway, next week, on to Martinsville, and I believe all 3 series are in action next weekend, correct?
Actually,
I take that back. I think trucks are back at Rockingham. So I think it's only Xfinity and Cup next weekend, unfortunately. I think trucks will be back in the fall at Martinsville. But next weekend, we have ORAPs and Cup racing at Martinsville, which Ross, the boss, and I will be in attendance for.
Wow, that's such a bummer that the trucks are not there this weekend. Why?
Yeah, because they picked up a Richmond date, and they had to give up one of the Martinsville dates to pick up Richmond.
The truck series needs more short tracks. They need to quit going to so many big tracks. That's kind of disappointing. Do they need to go to Daytona and Atlanta at the start of the year? Why not leave Martinsville and take one of the other 2 out? I don't know. That don't make a lot of sense to me. These truck teams are small already. They don't need to be. I don't know. Go ahead, Josh. I saw you were about to say
I was just going to ask if y'all were both planning on going Saturday, because I will definitely try to go Saturday if I can. I will know by Thursday if I can go on Sunday. As I alluded to last week, we are in the dead heat of hockey playoffs right now. We won tonight, so we will advance to tomorrow and then Thursday. So if we win Thursday, I will unfortunately be playing Sunday, which means I will not be shoving my face full of Martinsville hot dogs with my 2 best friends watching cars go in circles. I would much rather do that. So we will see what happens, but I will be there in spirit if I am not there, but I'd love to go Saturday.
I mean, all it takes is a little point shaving. Ross and I have talked about this. You know, there is a way to avoid this.
I am the captain of the Sharks, and I must lead by the front lines.
I heard you were the shark today. You won the shark
of the week. I've got my little shark sitting right here with my little puck for my hat trick today. Had a good day. So.
As we joked earlier, Josh walked in the locker room and said, "You know what? Damn it, I deserve this."
Yeah, it's I could have a whole nother podcast episode on my adventures of my hockey season. So we're trying to finish strong here.
Oh man, yeah. Well,
let's transition to from winning on the ice to winning in the picks once again.
Ross,
Ross,
this guy.
where are we at?
All right. Well, Josh, you won again. Congratulations. You
Woo!
picked Brad K. That was a hell of a pick. You almost won the race. So Josh, you have 3 wins. Rob, you were actually second with Chris Busher, who finished ninth.
Which
Woo.
great pick,
And
by the way, Rob.
Thank
that
you.
was a good pick. He probably could have won as well. And then dumbass me picked Eric Jones, who finished 10th, which was actually a really good race for Eric Jones, but
He had a great bounce back race, actually.
he really did. I was talking earlier about RFK. You never know how they're going to be good, when they're going to be good. Legacy kind of went through that then last year. They were really good at the end of last year, and all of a sudden they've shown up this year and they have taken a step back again. So, like I said, it's hard to be a tier 2, tier 3 team in this series, and you're seeing that. Anyway, so I finished third. So I will go first this week. And Rob, you'll go second, and Josh, you will go third. Do y'all know who y'all have, or do I need to send something?
I'm trying to figure it out now. I'm probably not going to pick a big boy anyway, so I think
I'll screenshot it. Josh, just cut this part out real quick.
Okay.
Or when you do.
I picked Shane Van Gisbergen.
That's who you're picking?
No,
I was like, wow.
I want to pick one of the Hendrick guys, but they've been so ass that I'm like, I don't know.
All right, I'll go ahead. All right, so when I think about Martinsville, I think of this guy sometimes, maybe not in Cup, but this season they have speed, and I think he's going to do it. I hope I don't see this happen in real life, but I might. I'm going to pick Bubba Wallace to win this weekend at Martinsville.
Wow. Okay.
If I have to see it in person, I might jump off the back of the grandstands. Just heads up.
What? Oh my God! Why is that, Ross?
I'm just kidding. I really didn't like Bubba for a few years. I don't dislike him anymore. I don't know what changed. I think it's because I dislike Carson Hocevar and Ty Gibbs so much that I think Bubba's pretty cool again. So I don't know.
You know he's still going to get the loudest boos this weekend, other than
and he
me,
will. But if he wins this weekend, I'll cheer for him. I guess maybe. I know Jonathan's listening to this rolling over, but sorry, Jonathan.
Yeah, he's definitely punching the air right now. I said this. I really would love to pick one of the Hendrick guys, but my hope is that they will kind of get it figured out as the year goes on, and they very well will show up this weekend and have one of the most dominant cars. I think I have already unfortunately picked Chase Elliott, which he very well could show up and be dominant this weekend. He's really good here, but I think I'm going to go with Josh Berry.
All right.
I think that's a really good pick. They were really good at New Hampshire last year. I think it kind of relates a little bit.
I also would love to pick a Hendrick driver. Just seems like this is their playground. But I don't want to waste a pick because I feel like you guys have kind of left the door open for me yet again. And I'm going to go with someone that's been showing a lot of speed. He had a good race today, didn't quite get the finish that I think he could have. He's also a short track ace. Give me Ryan Preece.
Oh, that's a good pick. I had already started writing in Denny. I thought you were going to take Denny there.
I already took Denny, brother.
No, that's right.
It'll likely be Ryan Blaney versus Hendrick, but hey, you never know. So
sure, you do never know.
I never really think of the spring race as a Ryan Blaney race. Don't know why. It seems like the fall is when they really show up with a lot of speed, but who never know. You never know with the way the season's laid out this year. They brought speed to Phoenix, so maybe they'll bring speed to Martinsville.
I'll tell you what, that William versus Ryan battle last year when we were all there in the fall was really fun to watch.
Yeah. To be fair, that was the first really good racing we'd seen in person in Martinsville in about 3 years.
We are loyal Martinsville fans. I mean, we have stuck it out. We deserve good Martinsville racing now.
Yeah,
2022. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. You're good. You go right ahead. It sounds like you have somewhere you're going with this, so I want to hear it.
Well, I was just going to say that 2022 Martinsville race that we all went to in the spring. Was it 2022? It was the first 400 lap night race. Was the worst race I've ever seen in my life.
Is that where you left early because you were cold, or was that the truck race?
That was
That
a
was
truck
the truck
race.
race.
Okay. Yep.
No, but I'm pretty sure we all may have left early. I think you and I left with 100 laps to go, Josh. Because,
No, God. I don't think I've ever left a race with 100 laps to go.
brother,
I'm pretty sure y'all did.
yeah, I think we did because Byron was so far out in front that it was just pointless.
Wow.
Yeah, it was something. All right, well,
Y'all didn't answer my question. Are y'all planning on going Saturday?
I am not. I've got some. I would love to, but school starts back up this week, so I'm probably gonna be in my books. So
You just let me know if you decide to go. I can probably make it happen.
All right. We'll figure it out. I would love to be there Sunday, but at the same time, I hope I'm not there because we need to win this cup.
I personally hope you lose. And then we'll see you at the racetrack on Sunday. So that's just my personal opinion.
If I'm going to lose, it needs to be either tomorrow or Thursday because I'll tell you what, if I go to Sunday and then we lose, it's a lose-lose.
Yep, Josh might break a stick.
Yeah. Someone that already did that for me.
All right. Well, that pretty much covers it for this week. Unfortunately, I guess fortunately, we're back at Darlington later in the year for the Southern 500 Labor Day weekend. Very excited to get back there. I love that of the dates of the tracks that have 2 dates that Darlington will remain to have 2. So as we said, next week back in action, Xfinity and Cup at Martinsville for the first time this year. So excited to see what the product is, and hopefully we get some good short track racing. But any final thoughts?
I'm looking forward to Martinsville. Obviously, I think Darlington was fun. I think overall it's been a fun start to the season. Tyler Reddick and Toyota are just kicking ass right now. So historically, Martinsville has not been a great track for Tyler Reddick. So I think this will be a really good test to kind of see where they're at with their short track package and everything. But Martinsville is always fun, man. Ever since they figured out a little bit of tire degradation, we're slowly getting back to where we were. So like I said, hopefully I'll see you guys Sunday, but if not, I'm definitely looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the 750 package this weekend. I'm wondering how much difference that'll make. But yeah, it should be a fun weekend. I'm sure we'll get some drama in one of the series. Not sure which one, maybe both, but it should be a good weekend.
Yeah, it's obviously an easy race for us to go to close to home. So very excited to get back to the paperclip and make some more memories. But thank you guys for listening this week. We will be back next week to recap all the action between the 2 series at Martinsville, and we will once again see you then. Thank you.